Hello everyone, welcome back to From Feed to You. Today we're going to be creating a modified version of the pendant that you see here. So if you'd like to see how I make it, continue watching. For this project we're going to be using 20 gauge wire and 24 gauge wire. Also 22 gauge wire, jeweler's pliers and tape measure, a clipboard, and paper tape. I'm going to start by cutting 12 inches of the 20 gauge wire. You need 4 pieces, so go ahead and cut yourself 4 pieces of 12-inch wire. Now you want to line your wires side by side like that and get yourself some masking tape or painter's tape or something and tape the ends just like that. Next you want to get some type of clamp or a device that can help you hold your wires down. In this case I'm going to be using this clipboard. Perfect clamp, is pretty sturdy. So the taped wire that we just did, we're going to take that obviously and put it under this clamp just like that, in the middle preferably, but it doesn't really matter. And this is how you should have it, 4 wires separate, okay? So as I'm showing you the braid, I'm going to be doing it loosely so you can get the gist of it, but in actuality I'm going to braid them tighter. Now we're going to braid the wire. It could be a little tricky for some people, and I still have trouble with it myself sometimes, but if we get a good rhythm going, then we'll be just fine. So how I do the 4-strand braid, it's like you divide your 4 into 2 sections. You have 2 here and 2 here. What you want to do is just go right 1 wire over, and then this one right 1 wire over. So in other words, take this wire here and push it over like that. Take this wire here, push it over like that, okay? And then you have these 2 that meet up, and instead of going over that way, you take this wire and go this way. And that's basically the pattern. You just repeat that over and over and over. So you take the outer wire, go to the right. Take the 3rd wire, go to the right. Now the 2 wires are in the middle, you go to the left. That's it. You just repeat that pattern. As you can see, it's a glare on it. Hopefully you can see how it's, oops, sorry. You can see how it's coming. All right. So let's go ahead and start the way I showed you, but do it tighter. All right, I'm going to keep going for a while and I'll be right back. As you can see, I started doing it tighter here. The further down you get, the easier it gets and the tighter it actually gets. So let's continue. Over here. There we go. Over here. I'm going to keep doing this until I get almost all the way to the end of the wire. This is probably the longest, hardest part about this piece. That's alright. If you haven't learned how to do this braid yet, you have now. Whoops. Pop out of there. Let's put that back in there. Clipboard. Alright, so I've braided mine all the way and I left about 2 inches on the end here, and not to mention the inches on this side here. It's about 2 inches also. So basically overall this is what the braid should look like, or close to it. Alright. So now I'm going to cut another piece of the 20 gauge wire at 12 inches. I forgot that I needed 5 instead of 4. And I'm going to cut 2 pieces of the 22 gauge wire at 12 inches also. Okay, now you want to align the wires that you just cut. You got your 2 22 gauge and the 120 gauge. Doesn't matter which order they're in, really. So now you want to hold those side by side and go ahead and grab your braid there. Cut one more small piece of weave wire at about 4 inches. This is the 22 gauge. Now you want to take all of the 12-inch wires that you cut and line them up with the wires that we braided equally. There we go. And find the center of that, which is 6 inches. And then you're going to take your 4-inch piece here and start your weave around. Alright, once you've wrapped your wire around all of the wires, you can snip it, flatten the piece there. Alright, and this is what it's looking like. I'm going to be using this gemstone. I'm told that it's yellow sea sediment jasper. Alright, so now we want to take the wire, the frame, and get our gemstone prepared. We're going to set it right there and place your wire right at the base of it here, and we're going to go ahead and try to frame it just wrap your wire, all of your wires around it. Form a frame. Alright, so here is the frame cabochon that we just did. Alright, you can see the shape there. Now you want to pinch at the very top here. And okay, there we go. You can remove your cabochon for the moment. And here's the frame that you have. Now you want to grab your 22 gauge wire again and just cut a little, maybe 2 inches, 2 or 3 inches off. We just need enough to hold it at the top of the bale there. Let's get 2 inches. Alright, so we have our 2-inch or so wire here. I'm going to bend it there as usual. And go ahead and start to form our wrap around. And as you know, if you follow me, I like to tuck my tail on the inside of the frame there. There we go. And then we can go ahead and wrap around. We're not trying to make this perfect because that's not going to be our end all be all. All right, so now we got that wrapped there. Pull it down a little bit. There we go. All right, now you want to grab your cabochon again, put it back inside, flip it over. You can use your finger or your pliers to bend the wire on top of the back of the cabochon. In this case, I'm going to use my finger. Separate the wire with your nail. There we go. One. And now on the other side. Oops. Can get it. There we go. And 2. And that should hold the cabochon in place in the back there. All right. Turn it back to the front. Let's slide this wire down a little bit. Pinch. All right. Let's go ahead and also bend the wires onto the back at the top here of the cabochon. Just a little bit. There we go. And the other side. There we go. If need be, we can fix it later. Doesn't really matter how beautiful the back looks. What you're worried about is the front. But so far, this is what you have, the pattern here. Actually, the braid is wide, so it really fills up the depth of the cabochon, which is good. All right, so now it's pretty much secure, but we want to make sure it's secure and not going anywhere. So we want to take the back 2 wires. Let's try to grab the 22 gauge wire. Pull it down in the back. And just have it there for the moment. We don't know what we're going to do with it yet, but leave it there. All right, and then the other wire, 22 gauge, it should be at least. All right, so the other side of the 22 gauge wire should be 2 of them. Let's go ahead and wrap some more around the bail a couple times. 2, 3, 4. Let's do 4 times for now. Okay, there we go. Now we need to figure out what we're going to do with all of these. All right, let's go ahead and pull one of the braided wires. Let's pull it to the front. Bend it to the front like that. That's going to be our bail. All right, these other wires, they're pretty much just there in the way. So let's go ahead and form this bail right now. Grab your round nose or whatever round device you're going to be using, and go ahead and shape the bail. Everything is all discombobulated. All right, there we go. There's the bail, looking all neat and pretty. There we go. There you have your bail. And these wires here, they're pretty much just in the way until we decide what to do with them. Now, once you've formed your bail there, like we have, I think we can go ahead and get rid of this piece here. We no longer need it. So let's go ahead and snip that off. Snip it right there in the middle there. I decided to use the brown agate instead of the previous cabochon that I had. I think this looks a bit better. Anyway, let's put it back inside. Yeah, I think it does. All right. Now, let's go ahead and finish securing our bail here using this wire. All right, let's get rid of some of these wires. We're only going to be using this one here to secure the bail, so I'm going to trim the other ones. The 2 long ones that we press down, we're going to still keep those. So let's go ahead and snip that one and this one. Okay, that's a bit better. All right, now we're just going to use this one to wrap around the bail one time, just to hold it in place. Actually, let's do it 2 times. All right, that's a bit better. And we can go ahead and trim it off. I want to trim it with the end tucked inside. So let's pull that through there. There we go. Alright, so this is what we have left. This long braided wire, I think I'm going to make a design with it on the front, maybe like a rose or something like that. Let's see how it looks. So let's pull that wire toward the front, turn it around there, and then let's give it a turn. To make a little and let's go ahead and give it a snip. Just trim it off there. And now we're going to curve these ends inward toward the circle there. Sharp ends. All right. Just want to hide them to tuck them inside. There we go. And I think I'm just going to hide that one toward the back. Okay, we can either finish it like here, leave this as the finish, which looks great, or we can curve them around the front of the piece and give them a few loops around and place them over top of the stone. Yeah, either way looks great. So we're going to leave it here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to just snip it off. And do the signature curve on the back. Well, it's not my signature, but this is how I finish sharp ends usually. Sorry about that. Of course, if you liked the way the first version looked with all the coilies, swirlies around, I mean, great, but I don't think that's for me. I'm more of a basic minimalist type, and I think that looks great. Here's a side-by-side view of the current version and the previous version. They're both nice, but ultimately this one won me over. So that's it. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.